Notice how the preferred prefixes that are multiples of 1000 ensure that moving the decimal marker is made as easy as possible. Moving the decimal marker is always 3 places. You only have to decide between going to the left or to the right. This means that in the whole metric system, there are only 16 prefix names to learn. There are still only 20 prefix names if you include those used less often: centi, deci, deca, and hecto. Generally, the metric system tends not to need fractions. You might choose to use decimals exclusively, thus eliminating the clumsier, vulgar, or common fractions and the even clumsier mixed numbers. Most people who use the metric system regularly tend to prefer to use decimal fractions, that is, they do not use fractions at all. They do not use half a meter when they can easily measure 500 millimeters. They do not use 2/3 of a kilogram when they can easily measure 667 grams. You can go beyond this. Because the metric system has a standard set of prefixes, you can usually arrange your work without any fractions at all. No vulgar fractions, no mixed numbers, and not even decimal fractions. The Australian building industry chose not to use fractions with their metric length policy, which read, "So we, the Australian building industry, will use 3 units of linear measure: meter, millimeter, and kilometer. They are distinct and cannot be confused. In building and construction, the centimeter will not be used." Since the mid-1970s, builders in Australia have not needed to ever think about fractions, whether vulgar or common, mixed numbers, or even decimal fractions. The metric system was planned. When you use the metric system, you're using only one single system of units. Other measuring methods arose more or less at random from a multitude of historical sources. The metric system is simple and more logical than any previous methods of measurement ever known because it was logically planned from its beginning. The metric system developed for about 200 years before its adoption in France. In this chronology, you will see that the metric system developed internationally. No one nation was responsible for its complete development. The metric system was always an international system. Historically, the metric system developed from these ideas. 1585, the initial idea for a decimal measuring system of units came from Simon Stevin, who started life as a bookkeeper in Flanders and who later became a clerk in the Flemish tax office. The modern name for Flanders is Belgium. 1668, the English academic John Wilkins devised a universal system of measurement that had almost all of the properties of the modern international system of units. It had a universal measure of very close to our modern meter that was used to measure length, area, and volume. Wilkins also proposed that his universal measure could be used to determine mass by filling a cube made with the universal measure on each side and filling it with distilled rainwater. Wilkins' system was published by the Royal Society in London after about 120 years before the French philosophies developed it further into the metric system that they devised in the 1790s. 1670, French country vicar Gabriel Mouton from Lyons in France suggested that a new measurement system could be based on unnatural phenomena such as the size of the Earth, and this he repeated many of Wilkins' ideas published 2 years previously. 1740, Cassini de Thury carried out a survey to accurately determine the size of the Earth. 1780, approximately James Watt, a Scottish engineer, promoted the idea that the decimal system should be the basis for any new measuring methods. 1784 to 89, Thomas Jefferson, who as ambassador to France, he had a marked influence on promoting the concept of decimal numbers as he had previously when he, with George Washington, promoted the idea for a decimal currency for the USA. 1787, Arthur Young, a gentleman farmer from England, reported, "In France, the infinite perplexity of the measures exceeds all comprehension. They differ not only in every province, but in every district and in almost every town." At that time, France had about 800 names for different measures, and taking into account the different sizes of all these measures in different towns, they had about 250,000 different measures altogether. All other nations had similar problems, but these were not so well documented as they were in France. 1790, the Inspector General of the French Mint, Marie Jean Antoinette Nicolas de Caradat Condorcet, asked a friend, Charles Maurice de Talleyrand Pergat, to put a proposal for a new measurement system in the French National Assembly. Cortisso's system was to be based on a length from nature. It was to have decimal subdivisions. All measures of area, volume, weight, etc. were to be linked to the fundamental unit of length, and the basic unit should be that of a pendulum which beat at the rate of 1 second. The French National Assembly adopted the proposal, but assuming that the new metric system would be fully international, agreement was sought from other countries. The length of the pendulum soon proved to be a problem. The French proposed a latitude of 45 degrees that was not too far from Paris. The English proposed London, and the USA proposed the 38th parallel that passed quite conveniently near Thomas Jefferson's estate. 1791, Charles de Borda, chairman of the French Commission of Weights and Measures, resolved the pendulum problem by proposing that the new standard length be 1/10,000,000th of the distance from the pole to the equator of the Earth. This, despite some resistance, became the first standard for the meter. 1792 to 1798, Delambre Mecane measured the length of the meridian between Ancre in France and Barcelona in Spain so they could accurately estimate the distance from the equator to the North Pole. 1793, Borda, Lagrange, and Laplace computed a provisional value for the meter based on the survey carried out by Cassini de Thury in 1740. The metric system was passed into law by the French National Assembly, and a meter bar together with a kilogram mass were dispatched to the USA, expecting that the USA would adopt the new measures. Congress hesitated because the standards were provisional, and Britain and Germany became hostile to the metric system because of the changed definition of the meter. In 1798, an international commission began with the work of replacing the provisional values with more precise standards. 1799, based on the data collected by Delambre and McCain, an international commission produced the platinum bar that became the official definition of the meter. After more than 200 years of development from 1585 to 1799, 1979, June 22 became the legal beginning of the decimal metric system. I think that should be 1799, June 22nd. The metric system is legal. The metric system has been adopted as the legal basis for trade in all nations in the world. Anyone who is thinking about doing business internationally knows that all contracts will be written with all physical, chemical, electrical, and electronic measurements specified in metric units. In many nations, contracts written in old pre-metric measures are simply not legal. For example, the Australian Weights and Measures National Standards Act stipulates that if units other than the prescribed legal units are used in a transaction, that transaction is void under Australian law. The units are part of a prescribed legal units mentioned here, with very few exceptions. Those of the metric system are as specified by the International System of Units. Legislation like this is common in every country in the world. This means that you need to take special care with your choice of units and your formulation of your contractual agreements. Take particular care if you are writing contracts using computer software from the USA, as some leading software companies seem to specifically discourage the correct use of the metric system. As you consider what measuring units to use in your next contract, keep in mind that you don't want to end up with a contract that is null and void. Summary. To summarize, the modern metric system, also known as SI, the International System of Units, is a system that is universal, coherent, capable, equitable, simple, supported, fundamental, unique, and legal. And if you spell out the initial letters of these words, you will find what the metric system has been all around the world. Successful. Congratulations, and can you help? Congratulations on taking a major step towards metrification by visiting http://metricationmatters.com/y_metrication.html and for reading to this point on the page. By reading the information on this webpage and the associated support pages at http://metricationmatters.com, you'll soon be in an excellent position to advance the goals of your organization, improve your own career, or choose business opportunities wisely. If you enjoyed reading about the free metrication information on this webpage, please pass it on to your friends, family members, work associates, and anyone else who you feel would benefit from knowing more about metrication. Your action could prevent your family and friends from falling victim to many metrication errors that might cost them years of measurement frustration. Our goal is to educate everyone we can about the simplicity and ease of use of the metric system. In this way, your family and friends will gain the positive benefits of using the metric system earlier than others. By passing this newsletter on to your friends, you'll help to prevent them being cheated by measurement fraud, drive measurement fraudsters out of business, and make the world a safer place for everyone. Not bad for sending a few emails or putting a link on your website. On the other hand, if you decide not to pass the reference to this webpage along and your best friend gets cheated because of a measurement misunderstanding, how hard will you kick yourself? The internet is a fantastic distribution medium. If you pass the reference to the Metrication Matters webpage to just 10 people and they do the very same very soon, everyone will be better educated, and that's hundreds of millions of people. In fact, you are just 6 people away from distributing 1 million copies, so your friends are just 5 people away. There's no way that I could reach millions of people on my own, so please help. Here are a few distribution ideas. 1. Forward something like this in an email to your friends, associates, and relatives. The email can't do any harm as it cannot contain viruses, plus it's a very short email, so your friends won't mind. Please do not send the file to anyone you don't know. Spam is one of the worst aspects of the internet, and I don't want to play any part in it. Dear friend, I have been reading and enjoying a web page that positively promotes the metric system, the use of the metric system. It's very easy to read and is packed with ideas that you can use. The web page is at best regards your name. 2. Put a reference to Metrication Matters on your website in a prominent position. You are at great free content and be doing a good thing for your visitors. If you have read the Metrication Matters newsletters or you're a subscriber, you might like to send an email like this to your family and friends. Dear friends, I'm enjoying a free monthly newsletter called Metrication Matters, and I thought that you might enjoy it too. Just log in at metricationmatters.com/newsletter. There.html. There are links on the sign up page to the back issues of Metrication Matters, so you can check if they are right for you before you sign up. Best regards, your name. Many thanks for participating in the distribution of the Metrication Matters webpage. Cheers and best wishes for your metric future, Pat Naughton. Pat Naughton, Metrication Matters, Australia.